Hey, what's up everyone? Shane here with ROA Off-Road. I got a pretty exciting video for you today, and it's on the Roamer 1, and it's a heat test. And how well does the Dometic True 12 volt RTX 2000 work in over 100 degree temperatures? And how long can you stay off grid with this air conditioner unit? We are headed down into the desert, and boy, it is hot at 107.4 degrees. It is so hot out here. It is cold in here. It actually feels chilly. Okay, it is reading 184 degrees. So let's see what it is in here. Okay, 98 degrees, 97. We're draining a little bit slowly. We'll see, as it gets cooler in the evening, maybe the solar will bring it back up. Here we go, sunny Las Vegas. Stay tuned. Okay, so welcome today. This is kind of going to be a little bit of a different video than what we usually do on Sundays. Usually we roll out some sort of tour or something, but a couple weeks ago on Wednesday, if you didn't have a chance to, you should go back and check out that video. We did a heat test where we ran the Roamer 1 air conditioning unit. This is an RTX 2000. It's made by Dometic. It's a true 12 volt AC unit, so it runs directly off the batteries, doesn't go through an inverter. And we ran this AC unit for over 10 days. Well, it was 10 days actually. We have ran it over 10 days as well, and completely off grid, and the battery never died. And so we've been a lot of people have been hearing, oh wow, the Roamer 1 or the Imperial Outdoor trailers, their ACs can run indefinitely, forever. And now we have had some conflicting where people have purchased trailers and taken them to hotter climates, and this wasn't the case. So we wanted to go out and do a test, and we did. We've been down to Vegas. It was a few weeks ago. We went down to Vegas to test out the air conditioner when it was over 100 degrees. It was extremely hot. I think the highest temp we saw while we were down there was around 108 degrees, and that was ambient air temperature. The temperature on the trailer itself was at one point we saw 184 degrees on the panel. Like when you touched the wall, it was like could burn your hand. It was that hot. Anyway, I just want to kind of do a recap. We also have a graph where we got these really cool devices. They're called hobos, and we're going to take some thermostats. We have some cool little monitoring things that we can put outside, inside, that can read the temperature, and we're going to test the AC unit on the all new Roamer 1. So we started this test on a Monday, and it was noon. And we actually have all of this information in our graph. So right here, you can see on our graph, we started right around 12:15 p.m. And you can see right at the top, it shows it was 98, it was reading 98 degrees when we put the thermometer on the trailer. Now we put it on the back of the trailer. We did stick some cardboard underneath it because we didn't want it touching the black metal. But I think when the sun was hitting it, it was still pretty hot. But it was hot outside. It was over 90 degrees. No matter what, we were seeing pretty hot temperatures on Monday. And then we took the other thermometer and we put it inside the trailer. And we did it about 5 feet away from the air conditioning unit, and we put it on the counter. The battery was 100%. So we made sure it was fully charged before we started this test. We cranked on the air conditioner. Within about an hour, around 1 o'clock, you can see the temperature dropped below 70 degrees right here. So not even an hour, maybe 30 minutes to an hour into this test, we can see the temperatures drop down to 68 degrees. Now we set the temperature on the air conditioner unit itself at 68 degrees while we were driving. Now Imperial Outdoors, they tell us that we should pre-cool the unit, just kind of like a refrigerator. You turn it on before you put food in it. So we're gonna test that because we have our battery bank fully charged, and we're gonna come in here. I'm also gonna, shut the blinds because on the back side of this, there's some reflective material. So there's no point in letting the sun come in and just get it hotter in here than necessary. And in reality, this is what you would do when you're camping. You wouldn't leave all the windows open when it's 108 degrees outside, not even in your house, let alone your trailer. They say, hey, because of the solar array, for the most part, depending on where you're going, you're gonna be able to get a lot of solar and be able to run that air conditioner and keep the trailer nice and cool. This test was completely off-grid, and you'll see kind of how it progressed and where we went. So as you can see, within an hour it was 68 degrees, and over here you can see the temperature around 90 degrees. There's this weird spike all the way up to 112 degrees. I think we actually pulled into a gas station and the sun must have been hitting the thermometer, and that's kind of why you saw that huge spike. But this right here, all of these spikes right around 90s, in the 90s, 95, this was probably ambient temperature. And you can see down below, the graph is just maintaining a really comfortable 69 degrees. As a matter of fact, you can see across the entire screen here, you see really nice stable temperatures all the way in the 60s, all the way. The hottest temp we ever saw was 75 degrees in the trailer during this entire test. It's very cool. Now, so what happened is we headed down out of the Salt Lake area, headed towards Las Vegas. In Utah, right before you drop down into the desert, there's a city called Cedar City. We did stop there. I was checking the forecast and I wanted to kind of like check on the trailer, and that was right around this area where it was 100 degrees outside. But I knew that as we were going into St. George, we were supposed to see temperatures over 100 degrees, and then through all the way down to Vegas, we were supposed to be seeing 108 degrees that day. To my surprise, when I jumped in the trailer, the battery still was like 100%, and it actually climbed an amp. Been driving for almost 3 hours. Check this out. We're at 100%. If I recall, we were at 1,076, and now we're at 77. So we've actually gained some power while driving and running the AC. Now let's see where the thermostat is at. Oh wow, check this out. So this one says 70, this one says 71. I mean, we're not in Vegas yet. It's not 108 degrees outside. Let's see where the AC is set to. But I knew we were headed down to over 100 degrees for the rest of the trip. So in Cedar City, I dropped the temperature down and we dropped down into St. George, which is a little town at the border of Utah going into Arizona, Nevada. And it was over 104 degrees, I think close to 105 degrees there. And I jumped in the trailer and it was chilly. It is cold in here. It actually feels chilly. From 100 degrees to inside, it was actually like chilly as I walked in. It was cold. Like we stepped inside and it wasn't comfortable. Like I would have adjusted the temperature up a little bit, but I just kept it on anyways because I knew it was gonna be hot and I wanted to make sure the trailer stayed nice and cool, because I don't like sleeping in the heat. So we headed down. We got to Vegas around midnight, just before midnight. It was we were super exhausted. Okay, we have officially made it to Vegas. It's 11:30 p.m., which is 12:30 a.m. our time in Utah, so super tired. So when we pulled into Vegas at almost midnight, the battery was at 77%. So, it barely, dropped 20%. So I was pretty happy about this. I figured, through the night, it was gonna be running all night because the temperatures during the night were around 90 to 80 degrees. On this graph, you can see this is where it's dropping down, but you can see at 1 a.m., 1:23 a.m., it's 84 degrees. And you just follow this all the way down. So when we got there at midnight, it was still almost, look at this, at 11:36 p.m., it was still 90 degrees outside in Las Vegas, right? And so as we dropped down through the middle of the night, you can see around 7 or 8 a.m., it got all the way down to 77 degrees. That was the lowest temperature. And I had the AC set at 66 degrees and it was 77 at the lowest. So the AC never turned off. It was working the entire night, really pushing out. And you can see down here that it really maintained the temps. As a matter of fact, right here at 1:40 a.m., it got to 66 degrees in the trailer, and it was actually uncomfortable. It was cold. Had to get the bedspread and cover. Usually I sleep with a sheet, but I pulled the bedspread up because it was pretty cold out inside the trailer. In a real world, I was just trying to keep the temperature the same. I didn't want to really be playing around with it too much. But now that I'm looking back here a few weeks later, I probably would have been adjusting it more. And I did. I just went on a trip. Since this trip to Vegas, I went on a trip to Rushmore with my family, and we were playing around with the temperature. I would bump it up to 74 degrees when we were out doing things, and when I would get back, I would bump it to 70, just to kind of like have it go up and down. And I was like, I don't need to be running the air conditioner at 66 degrees, you know, in the middle of the night. You know, during the night, we would bump it over to around 70 or so, and we slept very comfortable. Now here in Vegas though, you can see it got to 66 degrees in the middle of the night when it was still in the 80s at night. And then during the morning, you see this thing started climbing up pretty quick by around 9:32 a.m. Now I do think the sun was hitting the side of the trailer, the back side of the trailer. So you see it saying it's 128 degrees, which definitely was more of the sun hitting the monitor right on it, and that's probably why it says it's 130 degrees, because it wasn't 130 degrees at 9:39 a.m. in Las Vegas. But even if you go past where the sun kind of goes over the head of the trailer and drops back down, it was still 106 degrees, 107 degrees. We went out and read around 2 p.m. I went outside. Over here, we're reading our outside ambient temperature, and the sun is not hitting this, so this is in the shade at 107.4 degrees. It is so hot out here. I just came out of the air conditioned area, because if you're out here for more than 5 or 10 minutes, you start sweating pretty bad. So we've been kind of hanging out, working inside the trailer, went to the pool for a little while, came back, and now is going to be the first time I check on the trailer for a while. So let's go head inside and see what the temperature is reading. Prepare yourself. The inside temperature of the trailer was still maintaining a comfortable, 70, 72, 73 degrees. The hottest temperature we ever saw was right at this spot. This was at 3:05 p.m. It bounced up to 76 for just a little bit. But we were actually checking the AC a bunch at this time, so we were opening and shutting the door a bunch, and so I think the heat was coming in. Now, the night before, because it was saying it was so cold on the thermometer in the kitchen that I had measured 5 feet from the AC, I actually ended up moving it closer to the bed, because I was like, I want to know more like what the bed temperature is going to be like. And so and of course, when I moved it closer to the bed, it was also closer to the door. So as I opened and shut the door, you got kind of that heat wave kind of coming in. But as soon as we shut the door in the evening, it dropped back down to 73 degrees, and it maintained it pretty well. I mean, 107 degrees outside, 73 degrees inside was extremely comfortable. I felt very, very, very comfortable in this temperature. Another thing is around that 2 to 3 p.m. time, when we were kind of in and out a lot, we did go and get a heat gun, and I actually hit the front of the trailer on the black decal on the front by the sign. Okay, it is reading 184 degrees, which was insane. I then went inside and I read the inside right around where I thought was the similar, almost exact same spot, and it was around 100 degrees, 90 to 100 degrees, depending on where I was hitting it, which was insane, because that's almost 100-degree difference. Keep in mind, the Roamer one it's just barely under 3 inches thick, so there's a pretty thick wall, and to have 100-degree difference from outside to inside is not quite 100, but almost 100, 90 or so degrees, 80 to 90 degree difference. That was insane. I could not believe it. Anyway, luckily in the evening, the upcoming evening, the temperature got a little bit nicer, and but unfortunately, the batteries were not maintaining as much as I thought they would. So as I mentioned, it's 2 p.m., the heat of the day. We are pulling 18 amps. The solar is bringing in 46 amps right now. So we're draining a little bit slowly. We'll see, as it gets cooler in the evening, maybe the solar will bring it back up. But I was a little concerned because the weather didn't look like it was letting down. You can look up here around 6 p.m. It was still almost 105 degrees, 104.94 degrees outside at 6:07 p.m. And it was going to be over 100 degrees all the way. I mean, you see 101 degree, 100 degrees at almost 8 p.m. at night still. So the AC unit was cranking on full blast, and we were trying to not plug it in or anything, even though we were at a campground and I had shore power right next to me, and I was like, I could plug it in and just have no problem with sleeping in it during the night, but I really wanted to see how long it would go before it died. So as the temperature started going down around 9 p.m., it was still 92, 93 degrees. It says it is, I don't know if you can see that, it's 91.13 degrees, 15% humidity. So still pretty hot for 9 p.m. I'm gonna get to bed here in just a little bit. Want to go inside, check it out, see where the AC is sitting right now, and also the battery voltage just before going to bed. And then tomorrow in the morning when I wake up, I'll give you an update from inside. And then right around 10 p.m. you can see right here the AC actually shut off because the battery got down to about 1%, and I didn't want to push my luck anymore. So around 10 p.m. The batteries were completely, they were done. And so we had to shut everything off and get the trailer plugged in so that we could run the AC off of shore power. And so this was the end of the test. So it, all in all, when I pulled up the graph to look at it, I was shocked to see how good you could see this thing just running, just right. The base was the whole time, it was running right around 66 to 73 degrees. And we're talking 100 plus degrees. Like the only time we saw, really during the AC test, the only time we saw under 80 degrees was really, really early morning from Monday to Tuesday. And then the night that the actual AC died at 10 p.m., it was 90 degrees. And that's when the AC shut off, and it was 68 degrees inside the trailer. It's crazy that it was able to run completely off grid. All in all, we reached 34 hours completely off grid without plugging the trailer in, and we're able to maintain a comfortable temperature. The truth is, if you're going to be in a place where it's over 100 degrees, you're going to want to have a generator. You're going to want to be ideally plugged in somewhere. We're really pushing these units into extreme temperatures that we've never seen, or, you know, like at least these Dometic AC units, the RTX 2000, I don't think anybody's actually put these into these situations. And typically you don't see those on a trailer this large. You know, this is a 20-foot box. A lot of times these small Dometic 12-volt units, you'll see them on teeny little teardrops, but it's a testament to Imperial Outdoors and those walls that they use. It's clearly holding in the temps, almost that 100-degree temperature difference, right? So even though they're using a much smaller AC unit, it's able to cool down the unit and keep it comfortable in over 100 degrees. Realistically, I think 24 to 34, 20 to 30 hours is probably realistic to be completely off grid over 100-degree temperatures. And after that, you're gonna wanna be plugging in somewhere, and you'll need a plug-in for at least 5 hours, probably every single day. If you're staying somewhere in Vegas in the middle of the summer, you'll probably be wanting to plug it in every single day for at least 5 hours just to get the batteries all the way up to 100%. And then technically you could drain them out for a day or longer, but if you did for a whole day, then you would want to charge it for more than 5 hours. It'd be over 10 hours that you'd be charging it if you drained it to 0%, because you're going to be bringing in about 50 amps from your charger and 50 amps from your solar during the day when it's hot outside. So you could bring in about 100 amps in the middle of the day between being plugged in and also running the solar. So now obviously if you're plugged in, you don't need to worry about running a generator for 5 hours. Once again, go check out that test that we did in Utah, where it did get over 100 degrees. I think it was 7 out of the 10 days that we did the test, it was over 100 degrees, and the batteries never drained below 50%. We were able to stay off grid the entire time. And now that one, some people were like, well, were you camping in it? And we weren't. We had the fridge on, we had some lights on, and we were running the AC, but we weren't like, that wasn't a real world. This was a real world. We had laptops plugged in, we were running the refrigerator, we had lights on, like we were using the camper. We were camping in it. It was only, we only lasted 2 days before we had to plug it in, but we were down there from Monday to, we came back, we were back in Utah on Wednesday. So we were down there over 2 days, and we were actually using it the way you would use the camper. So this was a real world test. So hopefully you learned something. I definitely want people to have correct expectations. I don't want people to think that they can get this and run the AC indefinitely off-grid, especially in somewhere like Vegas, Arizona, or Texas. Now, you just have to have the expectation that I'm going to have a generator or be plugged in somewhere. But can you go 24 hours or maybe at 34 hours off-grid? Yeah, absolutely. If you're somewhere in like Idaho, Utah, Montana during the summer, you might be able to go a whole month without plugging in. We've done 2 weeks without plugging in, which is really, really cool that you can do these types of things. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it's been educational. Make some comments below. And we're going to be continually doing tests like this. Let us know if there's anything you want to know. If you have any questions, make some comments below. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.